Hi guys, Archie Luxury channel. And today I want to talk about Rolex Steel Sports watches. Rolex Steel Sports watches. And before I do that, I'd like you guys to subscribe, like this video, and tell your friends. Because I depend on newcomers and bigger traffic to help me earn Google Ads revenue. And if you really like the work I do, you could sponsor me on Patreon. That allows you to send, you can send $1 a month. You can send $1 a month to help me out, stay full-time on the YouTube. Okay, guys. Now, I want to talk to you today. I want to talk to you about Rolex Steel Sports watches. And I recently went to Melbourne, Australia. And I also went to Sydney. And I got to tell you something. One thing I found with looking at Rolex boutiques and wristwatch dealers is there seems to be a big absence of Rolex Steel Sports watches. I mean, you go to a boutique that specializes in Rolex, a Rolex dealer, they have countless two-tone date just, they have steel date just, they have solid gold day dates, they've got fancy-wancy stuff there. You'll even see gold Daytona, solid gold Submariner, but the actual number of steel sports watches is very, very small. If you're lucky, you might catch a glimpse of the Rolex Explorer 2 42mm. That seems to be the dog in the sports range there. But when it comes to Submariners, no stock. The Hulk, no Hulks in stock. The GMT, the Batman, no Batmans, and no GMT, black. Daytona, don't even talk about the Daytona. Don't even talk about the Daytona. It ain't available. There's a long waiting list, sunshine. Don't even come close. And this is the thing. I gotta tell you, from traveling around and having a look, there are very, very few steel sports Rolexes available. Very few. And even with the two-tone Submariner, that's very hard to find. Not many of those on the ground either. And this is the thing. Rolex itself there, Steel Sports Rolex, is in very short supply. That really is the models that people want. And I think it's for good reason. You have a look at the resale values on a lot of these. You go and buy a new Submariner date or a no date, you're not going to lose much money over time. In fact, over time, it'll hold its own. You might lose a little bit, but then with yearly Rolex price increases, after a couple of these, you're going to be under retail. So you'll probably get most of your money back. Not bad for a steel piece of jewelry. How many other pieces of jewelry can you buy at retail, wear for many years, and then get what you paid for it back? That's sort of unheard of. That's the power of Rolex. Now, the whole thing is that it's quite fascinating that many dealers, many resellers of watches themselves there, it's the Rolex Steel Sports models that are the hottest. That is the hottest ones to come by. And it's kind of funny. You go to these Rolex dealers, whether you're going to Melbourne, Sydney, Asia, and they don't have any stock of Submariners. Very little. The new Sea Dweller, the red Sea Dweller, short supply. Daytona, don't even talk Daytona. These key models are really hard to get. And I gotta be honest with you, I kind of think Rolex may be taking the market for suckers, because I think Rolex is very strategic in the sense that they limit supply of these steel sports models. They really do limit supply. I've been told if you're a Rolex dealer, you can't dictate what stock you get. You get the stock and you take it. You can't ever send stuff back. Otherwise, you'll lose your agency. I mean, you want to look after your agency as best you can. You basically get when you order stock, you basically get a consignment of stuff. You're sort of stuck. Every order you're going to get stuck with one big gold piece, which, although it's lovely and beautiful, it's very hard to sell. You might get stuck with a platinum piece. Whew, that's hard to move. Steel sports Rolex. That is really, they are the hot little babies there. And what is the answer? I mean, it's quite fascinating. You look around. I got a good friend of mine, went to America, and he said, Archie, there's hardly any, you go to these Rolex dealers or boutiques, he said, there's no steel sports Rolexes there. He said, you might see an occasional Explorer 2 Polar, that's the 42 mil, and you might see a non-GV Milgauss. But he said there's nothing, there's no steels, Submariners, no date subs, Sea Dwellers, GMTs. They're very, very short supply. Very, very short supply. You might see the odd, he said you might see the odd Yachtmaster there. He said, but realistically, no Daytonas, nowhere to be seen, no Daytonas. And it has to be asked, is Rolex really having a lend of them? I mean, the market, everybody wants what they can't have. If you can't have it, it makes you want it more. And maybe this is the whole thing with the Rolex market there. It's a bit of a artificial market where the steel sports models are hard to get. And I got to tell you, when you look at the used prices for Submariners and GMTs, you can see a lot of these pieces are going for basically retail, full retail, if not a small premium. A small premium. Things like the Hulk, you can't get a Hulk at retail. There's a long waiting list. I've been told 3-year waiting list for Hulks, unless you're paying over retail. Submariners are getting very short supply there. The new Sea Dweller, Red Sea Dweller, impossible. Absolutely impossible. Steel sports Rolex. I mean, you go to the boutiques, there's nothing on display. You can't even see them. And this is the whole thing. What the hell's going on there? I mean, they've got heaps of two-tone Datejust, steel Datejust, and gold day dates. Yes. But they're kind of, I want steel sports Rolex. That's what the smart money goes to. Steel sports Rolex. That's where you want to go to. And it's quite fascinating. Is it a Ponzi scheme? Is this artificial market manipulation? Or is it the reality? What is it? What is it exactly? I mean, if Rolex really wanted to, they could increase production of the Daytona, steel Daytona. They could churn those babies out, put an extra shift on, slow down on the Datejust production and churn them out. But that's not the best marketing. The best marketing is to let these alpha males, alpha type A males who are pricks, fight over limited stock. It pushes the price up. I mean that's how it is there. And a good friend of mine said he doesn't know how these Rolex dealers survive. They've got all Datejust, two-tone Datejust, day dates. There's no steel sports stock. I mean, how are they going to survive? And it's a very fair question. How are they going to survive when they don't have steel sports Rolexes in the window? I mean, you should be able to go in there and buy one, shouldn't you? I mean, it's just an absolute, just a nightmare. And don't even get me started on the Daytona, the Ponzi scheme that the Daytona is. Is this a real market or what is it? It's hilarious, really. So there you go, guys. I'm Archie Luxury talking about Rolex. Tell me what you think. Rolex Steel Sports. Is it available? Tell me what the situation is in your part of the world. Remember, like, subscribe, and tell your friends about this video. Archie Luxury and the Poor Pluta channel, your premium choice for wristwatch content.